What do I want to wear? Hmm. Yeah.
As people, we reflect what is projected onto us. And so as Black people, we really didn't have the privilege or opportunity to create our own identities here in the Americas. We always had to reflect ourselves off of what projections European society placed upon us. And while they were torturing us and doing all of these inhumane things to break our spirit, we then created a culture and an identity from pain. The reality is that our culture, our way of being, is more built on survival than out of what other nations were able to do, out of love, prosperity, and building. But that doesn't mean that elements of our culture didn't come with us aboard those ships and maintain itself within all of those inhumane things that we experience and continue to experience.
Was it Jeremy Williams that kind of spearheaded that project?
Jeremy, Mikey, and a few of them just were we always tagged that, so there were different art expressions. Prior to Tyler, none of that was co-signed by housing.
Right. I really like this one down here. I have that record.
Do you?
Yeah, it's Portia White's record.
Yeah.
It's called Think on Me.
Yeah, think on it.
So this block is
B block, Bonaventure Towers. So this is where we would have moved in, my family would have moved in here, third floor, far left window, would have been our apartment. And we would have moved in here around 75, 76.
Okay.
I would have been 3 or 4 years of age. And then we lived in that apartment that was probably 400, 500 square feet.
I've been not in this building, but I've been in that
Oh,
building
it's
over
the
there.
same.
My cousin Jay lived in that building.
Yeah.
I went in there. I was like, man, this is.
Yeah,
I can't move around comfortably here.
like the living room and kitchen was one space. And I would probably say the living room and kitchen would be from here to the wall, maybe about this big. And then it had 3 bedrooms and a bathroom, attached by one little hallway.
Right.
In the 70s and 80s, them places were cold. All the heating came from central office there, and the building was leaky and the windows were cracky. But it was home. And we had on YouTube and Instagram, you know how they have those different things around oven heat?
Yes.
So that was a real thing back then. When the radiators weren't quite pumping out enough heat.
You kept the oven on, straight up.
Yeah, man.
Talking about like the size of the
Oh yeah, man,
apartments.
they were small.
My uncle invited me, my wife, and my daughter. She would have been like 18 months at the time. We drove up to Liverpool to go to like an old homestead.
Yeah. Oh wow.
We're driving on the trail. We get out, and he looks at me. He's like, "Nephew," and like I look in the woods. He's like, "You see that? You see that house back there?" I'm like, "You mean the outhouse?" He's like, "No, that was the house that we lived in."
Yeah.
He's like, "Our house burnt down. Our family built this shack for us, just for temporary, and like it was 5 or 6 of us in that shack, and it was just a kitchen and one bedroom."
Yeah.
He's like, "They had to sleep on each other basically to get the heat."
And that was just the reality. Like, so when people talk about poverty today, it's different. Like, my grandparents came from North Preston, so my grandmother is a Smith and a Downey. Well, she was raised by a Smith and a Downey family in Downeytown. But my grandfather, he grew up about 4 kilometers behind Downeytown, in a place called Back to Cliff.
Back to Cliff.
Back to Cliff. Because I would be like, Brandon, where you from? He was like, Back to Cliff. And I'd be like, huh? Where's that at?
Yeah.
He was like, in North Preston. I'm like, I ain't never heard of that. He was like, oh boy, you just don't know nothing. I was like, okay. I don't, because we never went up there.
Yeah.
As I got older and I started traveling around with David Woods, he actually introduced me to all of my family in North Preston. My father didn't drive, my mother didn't drive.
Right.
And so my grandmother wanted to get out of North Preston. And my grandfather had a good job at Nova Scotia Power. They managed to get a few different houses because of red zoning,
Yeah.
redlining, and the fact that if you were black, you didn't qualify for a home mortgage, no matter what your credit was.
And what year would have this been where
They would have moved to Halifax in the 50s.
So in the 50s you couldn't get a house if you were black. You couldn't get a mortgage if you were black.
No, not through the government
Right.
funded taxpayers, because my grandparents were taxpayers. They couldn't afford that.
Yeah.
They had to make deals with landowners and different people like that, and so the issue was that every time they were expanding Halifax, it was always where black and poor people were.
Yes.
Because they could expropriate the land, and there was no way of them ever really fighting back. Everyone remembers Africville, but there was also a community in Dartmouth around where Micmac Mall was. There was a black community.
Creighton Avenue.
Creighton Avenue,
Yeah.
But down in downtown Halifax, there was also those pockets and places where black people could live. 'Cause once there was 1 or 2 black families, all the white people moved up. And so as they got in, others moved away, and it becomes quote-unquote gentrified. And then as the property value decreases,
Yeah.
2 or 3 decades go by, and people are like, oh, that's my real estate. I should go in there and buy that.
Right.
And then white people move back in, and then it's too expensive for the black people to live there anymore. So you look at Creighton and Maynard and all of that now. When I was a kid in the 80s, it was relatively cheap. Now, probably 1.3, 1.4
That's crazy.
for something that's not much bigger than the apartment I grew up in,
Yeah.
but much more nicer and up to date.
Absolutely.
And as I was growing up, man, before that shit was built, I had a view of the harbor, housing project. Look, if you look around, like, this is absolutely
This is a
beautiful.
beautiful. You know what?
I
I didn't know that you were looking at this the whole time, so I
Yeah.
turned around. I was like, whoa,
Yeah,
actually.
like this is what I grew up growing up knowing. Like, it's beautiful. And we're in one of the poorest communities in Halifax. Anything and everything that I've accomplished that isn't me, it's a reflection of everything that this community has poured into.
Commercial break.
It's 1990. I'm in high school finally. After failing grade 6, after failing grade 9 and repeating grade 9 and then placing me.
You didn't give up though.
No, I didn't. No, my mother would let me. I would say that I never wanted to disappoint my mother. And so it was out of respect that I kept going. After grade 10 at St. Pat's in the spring, Sylvia Hamilton came in with a video camera. Black lady with a video camera. That was rare, right? And so she came in and she was talking about wanting to do a documentary. And so I was just like, what? I can be on camera?
She can bring that to the neighborhood.
No, at St. Pat's High School.
Okay.
But she was scared like the skies for centuries to come. And yet I had to endure more pain back of the bus, segregated schooling, lynching in the South, slave labor, degradation in the media. I wondered when I could find my rest. And so I was just like, yeah, I'll be in it. And never really thought anything of it. And then she comes back next year. And we're filming the film, and we started a youth group. David Woods came up and started a cultural awareness youth group. That was a program that he created in the early 80s that was all about creating a black identity. Not just a black identity, not an American black identity, but a Nova Scotian black identity. And the funny thing is that David Woods was a guy who moved from Trinidad when he was 11.
His whole family, and I met some of his sisters too.
And moved up to Nova Scotia. He was just an artist and interested in black people and creating stories and telling stories. He understood family names because David created a quiz, African heritage quiz, that was so popular in one time.
He created that.
He created that in the 80s through Cultural Awareness Youth Group. And he doesn't get all the credit for it.
David Woods doesn't get enough credit.
Not at all. And not only did he create that, but more importantly, he poured into people.
Yes.
He poured into next generation. So he created this intellectual, middle class, university educated group of people who are conscious of their blackness because he wanted them to see each other for their greatness. Because the idea is that North Preston was nothing but a dirt road. It's false.
Yeah, exactly.
There's the knowledge, the understanding, the charisma, the skills, the talent, the brilliance to survive on the rock where everybody else died.
And the North Preston is only a dirt road. Is that's through a white lens? That's through a white lens.
Yeah, because what we did was we were given nothing and we built a community, a culture, a way of being in a society, despite the fact that we were left there simply to be exploited.
Yes.
I'm here today to maybe explore with you the possibilities of creating a drama that reflects your lives and maybe says something that you feel is important to be said.
David Woods inspired this work, I gotta tell you.
Yeah.
I gotta give it to him.
So what David did was he created a platform for us to know each other communally in a positive way that we had a different view of ourselves. Because remember, we project the reflection of the view of ourselves that is thrusted upon us.
Yes.
And it's only recently that we're really able to see through all of that mess into the heart of who we truly are. Not the projection that society wants us to see. That's why I say that when black children get an opportunity to allow their brains to imagine and envision something, and that gets nurtured, it grows into all of the amazing things that we've done. And we as black people from the time of being enslaved, we've contributed culturally through food, music, popular music. We did it.
Every genre of music.
And so, but how it's reflected back to us is through, as you just said, a white press.
Yeah.
But by now we see white people doing something that we've done, and to the point that we don't like rock and roll because it's so filled with white people that we forget that it was something that we started and elevated.
That's how I felt about country my whole life. My dad is he's country.
Yeah.
to his core.
No, that's true.
Singing country,
Yeah.
like he sings when he's working. I get that. I got that same trait. It's like if I'm working, all I'm doing is singing. People are like, can you be quiet? I'm like, no. And my mom got her love for country from my dad. My mom can't hold a tune, but she does what she can, right? But country was in my house all day, right? But when I look on the TV, I don't see no black country singers. For the longest time, I'm like, man, I don't even like country. Country's white. You know what I mean? But then I started getting into the history of country. And like start getting into the history of bluegrass, and start getting into the history of Mississippi Delta blues and all this stuff, and how country actually became itself through black experience. And I was like, wow, how come I'm not taught this? It's the same thing when you said that when David Woods came through with it's a cultural
awareness youth group.
Cultural awareness youth group. I wish that still existed when I was in school, because I didn't have no idea of any cultural identity
So think
up
about this
until
here.
I was 25.
With the rec programs, they implemented the program we did up there, Penguin was us. But things only work because of the dynamic individuals who were running it. What David was doing was something that he was prideful in, that he wanted to do, that he had a vision for. And when he moved on to other things, they were replaced with other people who thought they could come in and do the work. They didn't have the vision, they didn't have the passion. So it was just a job. What you need to do as an older person is show us respect.